Welcome to Amazing Indiana Music Stories.
My earliest musical memory is probably from jam sessions at the house. My dad being a professional musician, Dave Allee, one of the great pianists here in town, would regularly have guys over to the house and they would jam and play. So that's probably one of the first ones. I remember going to gigs with the big band, places like Holiday Park and the Art Museum. And then maybe a little later on, then obviously started in school and whatnot and kind of got into things that way. I started playing a musical instrument probably in fifth grade. School 70 band, Mr. Hungerford. Started out on drums, did a year of drums, and then kind of the trumpets in front of me kind of lured me in a little bit more. So switched to trumpet in sixth grade. And yeah, as far as pressure to play an instrument or keep up with an instrument, I never really felt any pressure per se. I mean, there are always people around to be supportive. I was inspired by a lot of different people, but it was never like you're going to practice the piano. I mean, regretfully, I wish I would have played the piano more. I wish that, instead of going to play soccer or baseball or whatever I was doing outside, I did learn the piano a little bit more. It would have been very helpful and easier on the job. So, yeah, as far as recordings and hearing the music, my dad says when I was 2 or something like that, I would take the Cannonball Adderley records and smear them all over the kitchen floor. I'm sure he's got a better recollection of that than I do at that age. But Cannonball was a guy that, man, I really dug that at a real early age. I'm not sure that I was really quote unquote into jazz or anything like that. It was just that sound was something that really did it for me. As I got playing, people like Maynard Ferguson, Chuck Mangione was real big then, Herb Alpert was real big then. I actually didn't get into kind of more of the classics, the Lee Morgans and the Freddie Hubbards until a little bit later. There was a lot of people that were, playing the trumpet. It's a physical instrument. And so, people like Maynard, at the time he was killing it and had a great band. And so I was definitely drawn to that. Well, as far as, kind of what my next goals are and what I'd like to kind of accomplish, I think that it's still important for us to help present newer artists, give them an opportunity to do kind of special projects. We're in a kind of a unique spot. We're not, the club, it actually has to have a draw. The show itself has to have a draw in order for it to work financially and otherwise for everybody. There's some clubs where, they set them up on the bandstand and people kind of trickle in and out. It's not really like that here. So I think, it's up to us to keep trying to think of creative ideas to incorporate not only new artists, but to present, established artists in a different light to grab new audiences and things like that. As it pertains to maybe my role with the Jazz Foundation and Indie Jazz Fest, we try to do exactly that. We're, the lineup this year is really geared towards trying to get a younger audience in and introduce them to the music, while at the same time keeping the audience that we have and hopefully also presenting some new stuff to them and piquing their curiosity. There are a couple other projects we're working on. We're working on a virtual museum that we have a Hall of Fame. We're trying to do a better job of making sure that we're documenting what these artists are about, and why they're important. It's one thing to put them and say they're in the Hall of Fame, but we need to do a better job of making sure that why we put them in the Hall of Fame. And time will get by quick, and 5-10 years go by, it's a new set of people that are listening to the music, or some set up a new set, and they need to be informed as to, kind of where our head's at and why we're doing it and why we're passionate about it.